It really doesn't matter how much you love a person who's escalated but targeting you with their anger, or how often you've dealt with it in the past. It doesn't matter if they're a 6-year-old or a 26-year-old, or if they're your own child or someone else's. Even if you feel mostly calm, there are parts of your brain that you have no control over that respond because they sense a threat. In this video, we'll talk about how this brain response in ourselves makes it very, very easy to respond to an escalated person in an unhelpful or unproductive way. In past videos, we've talked about how making and practicing a proactive plan with a kid or adult with FASD can help them to emotionally regulate when a situation is actually happening around them. There's a lot of reasons that this can be helpful, but essentially it's because it helps to do a lot of the processing ahead of time, and it can be a shortcut to emotional regulation during stress. And we also mentioned that just as practicing these plans can help a child or an adult with a developmental disability, practicing the plans can help us for the exact same reasons. While it's easy to see how challenging behaviors that someone else is having target us during escalation, it's worth looking at how our responses can be challenging to the person that we think we're trying to help. So here's a quick list of common unhelpful responses that we tend to use during escalation. We frequently mention that, generally speaking, the less talking you do while a person is escalated, the better. Remember, people with FASDs often struggle to process what you're saying even on a good day. During escalation, trying to reason with them is probably not going to work because escalation lowers our cognitive skills. And this is not just an FASD thing, it applies to all of us. You're never in the middle of an argument with, say, a significant other, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, when suddenly one of you says, "You know what, honey, you're absolutely right, I'm sorry." No, you have to separate or be quiet, take some time to calm down, gain your cognitive skills, and then perhaps one of you will begin to show flexibility and move forward in a more productive or calm way. The issue is, because we get escalated when we sense another person escalating, most of us will impulsively begin to try handling the situation verbally, especially if it's a low-level escalation. Even if you're trying to be nice, supportive, and flexible, talking is still talking, and what you're saying is probably not going to be fully processed or understood. Now, there may be times where you can't simply sit there and be quiet or separate yourself from the situation. So if you must talk, you have to be quiet for several seconds or minutes after you say whatever it is you're saying. But again, in these moments, our escalated brains tend to keep on talking and talking. Or if the person that we're addressing says something oppositional, like, "I'm not doing that," then we tend to immediately respond, maybe with annoyance or, again, by trying to reason with them. And that brings us to the next unhelpful response. In previous videos, I've encouraged you to not respond to immediate, impulsive, oppositional statements or behaviors. But here's the thing. You're going to want to. Oppositional behavior usually looks intentional, as if the person is choosing their words and as if they're in full control, but they're probably not. When someone is being oppositional, there's not a magical word or phrase that will dissolve the opposition. Thinking stops opposition and gets both parties to a point where they can move forward together. If we respond, even gently or calmly, we stop the thinking process. It's important to remember that many kids and adults with FASD struggle with correctly interpreting tones of voice when they're doing well. When they're escalated, they're definitely going to struggle interpreting these cues. Their brains may be ultra-sensitive to tones of voice or volume. If their brain thinks you're yelling at them, then they're going to respond as if they are. So if you must talk, make sure you use a soft and gentle volume and a nice tone of voice. In these moments, we may think that it's a good idea to clearly and calmly tell a person what the consequences will be if they don't stop a behavior. It feels like we're helping them to plan and to think. But if being quiet is an option, do that. Even a nicely worded FYI in regards to the consequences of their behavior can easily be interpreted by them as a threat, and it won't help the person if they're significantly escalated. So, how can we avoid these unhelpful responses? We already know the answer, by having a plan that we practice and that we follow in the moment. If all I have to say is, I'm following the plan, and the person knows what I'm talking about because we've talked about this plan and practiced it, that will help me to disengage much more easily. I can be quiet and allow them to think. Even if they respond with opposition, saying, I'm not following the stupid plan, it doesn't matter because we can keep following the plan. A quick side note, you need to remember to tell the person who you're supporting that you're going to be quiet when following the plan. If you don't make it clear to them that your part of the plan is to stay quiet, that can escalate them more in the moment. By practicing the plan with them and telling them what your responsibility is, that is to be quiet, even if they're escalated and following the plan, they should know that you're not ignoring them. So why is it important that we respond in ways that help the person calm down? Because our goal is to help them understand that we're there to support them, even through behaviors and escalation. The more we do that, the more likely they'll be to follow the plan themselves as time goes on. In other words, if we can have a plan that actually works, the person will be able to practice their emotional regulation and hopefully get quicker and better at it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you haven't already, please like our page on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. We've also launched a new podcast called It's a Brain Thing, where me and a parent of a child with FASD navigate various aspects of life for people living with it and for those who support them. You can find the It's a Brain Thing podcast on iTunes or whichever podcast application you use, and you can also listen directly on our website, www.organbehavior.com. Lastly, if you find these videos helpful, please consider supporting Organ Behavior Consultation on patreon.com. You can support us for as little as $1 per month. These videos take a lot of time to make and continue to be free to people all around the globe, and so your support is very much appreciated. You can also support us by sharing our videos and asking your local organizations to have me come and do a training or workshop in your area. Thanks for watching.